what's going to happen.
Kristen Lewis, I am so glad we are getting to do this. You are on the Remark Brand channel. I am really excited about this conversation because we're going to be talking about AI and brand in accounting and advisory firms. And I think some of the dangers that AI can bring to the table in the marketing side of things and how we're building our brands and our firms. And just to help people get a little bit caught up, you and I were having a great conversation at the Association for Accounting Marketing Summit, their national conference a couple months ago. And I said, you know what? We got to do this on YouTube. We definitely need to have this conversation and share it out with everybody. So yeah, we're finally doing it. We're here.
Awesome.
It took us a couple months, but we're finally on it. And in this whole process, I don't know how this happened. You and I have known each other for, I was counting back, almost 10 years. I still remember Summit, I think where you won a Marketer of the Year award. I think that was my first Summit ever. So, yeah. Anyway, it's been that long. And we went to the same high school. Just like so random.
That was a shocker. That was a big twisteroo, a Law and Order twist. It's not often that we see a North Pine Mustang in the wild, so it was pretty exciting to hear that. When you said, we're in Phoenix, I'm like, Phoenix? I grew up in Phoenix. Oh my God. But yeah, that was really awesome. And I'm glad to be here and talk about all of this stuff because it's consuming all of our mind space currently, I think for good reason. So go the red and the blue.
Yeah, go Mustangs. It's crazy. Opposite sides of the country now, but at one point we went to the same high school, which is really cool.
Yeah, I'm holding up the East Coast. I'm here in Philly, but North Pine.
So let's catch everybody up a little bit on you. So you're in Philly, obviously, and you're at EisnerAmper. Why don't you share with everybody what you do there, what your role is, kind of what the day-to-day looks like?
Sure. I'm the managing director for strategic growth, industries, and markets for EisnerAmper. So on a national level, I work with all of our industry service line leaders on their go-to-market strategy. I manage all of our marketing team. We work with them day to day on implementing what that growth looks like. And then I'm involved with a number of our, national initiatives. One of them being our Balanced AI initiative. We called it Balanced AI on purpose. And I guess we'll talk about that a little bit later. So I'm very intimately involved with how we're presenting ourselves to clients, how we're discussing things and making their experience with EisnerAmper one that makes them want to stay with us and continue to grow that relationship. I've been at the firm for a very long time. I think we've been 4 or 5 variations. I was initially hired at a legacy firm in the Philadelphia area, Goldenberg Rosenthal, and merged and developed up and up. And so, today we have a staff of about 60-some people in our marketing department. And I love my team. I love the challenges that we have. And there's so much opportunity that I see ahead. And this is a big part of that story. So, I think it's an exciting time in professional services marketing area. Yeah.
It is. I mean, there's no end of change right now, and AI is definitely a big contributor to that. So, as we were chatting back at Summit, this idea of AI is being infused into every aspect of firms, right? And it's being pushed from the top down. It's being developed from the bottom up. You even have outside players with some of these PE-backed firms who are really aggressively pushing AI across the firm. And I think there's a ton of value that's driving for firms, right? Like there's lots of efficiency. We can automate things that in the past would have been manual and probably annoying. There's a lot more opportunity to develop value for clients and even like take the data that we have and really put it to better use than we have in the past with AI tools. But you and I were both kind of commenting on, hey, there's a danger that comes with this for our brands. Why don't you unpack that idea a little bit of this idea of like, does AI actually maybe not help us as much as we think it does beyond the efficiency?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like I'm middle of the road. I love I love AI as a tool. My side of the caution and the danger is to be thoughtful and very intentional with the application of it. I see it as a great multiplier for the things that we're trying to accomplish. More with less always is something that marketers have always been asked to do in accounting firms and, anywhere, to be honest with you. But, one of the things that is, I think, uniquely an issue, especially with brands for accounting firms is, well, maybe we call this sameness. And we've heard this talked about a lot at, the conferences that we go to. It can be difficult to differentiate one accounting or advisory firm from another on a regular day, because a lot of the things that we do they are around compliance. There may be services that are a little bit more commoditized at the end of the day. So, how do you make yourself different if suddenly you are trying to create content campaigns using the same LLM? The same robot is your content.
Yep.
Like, that makes sense. And that's the sort of thing that if you adopt it and suddenly think, oh, that's an easy win, let's throw everything into Claude, into Copilot, and we're good to go. There's a big temptation there because it scales you up really well. But, you have to really be an active participant in how you apply that and put that AI to work. Because, that can be a powerful extension of your voice, but it still has to be your voice at the end of the day. So how do you utilize such a powerful tool that everybody else is using in some way? And all that data is flowing amongst yourselves and getting commingled. And how do you still, at the end of the day, make it uniquely you and something that is going to make the outside world say, I want to do business with Mike. I want to do business with Kristen. That I think is the key to what we've got to be, cautious of when we utilize AI in our marketing applications at our firms.
Yeah. And I think, even there's kind of two layers to that. It's like the personality of the firm, right? Like the brand identity of the firm can get lost in that process, but also like the individual personalities, right? Like if we're putting out content under, different thought leaders' names within our firm, but we're all just using the same tool to do it, pretty soon everyone sounds like everyone else. And I think there's a big risk there. I mean, we are in professional services. We are serving others with the professional, right? If we lose the professional, do we lose maybe some core element of who we are in our firms?
Yeah. I mean, I think that core tension has always been there for professional services. I mean, versus marketing for, a consumer brand or products, we're selling relationships. We're selling personalities and people. We always have been. So, whatever we can do to bring that to the forefront, do they have to be the snazziest personalities on the planet? Maybe not. But, there is something unique about each and every one of them and something you can bring to the fore that is great. Honestly, once you scratch beneath the surface on a lot of these people, and this is why, how many people grow up wanting to be an accounting firm marketer? Listen, I love the people, but nobody grows up. You want to be a firefighter, you want to be a movie star, you want to, play football, whatever. But you get into this and you scratch that surface and you're like, wow, okay, these are smart people who are putting together really cool solutions and really helping interesting businesses, community organizations, families. Like they're doing things that are more interesting than you'd think. I know that it's a very conservative profession and they're scared to make big moves necessarily or do wild and crazy things, but they're people just like everybody else. And there's some really interesting stories that they can tell. So, that's kind of the key. We've never been wild and crazy marketers. But, you remove completely the chance to be a little bit different if you're just okay, this is safe. 20 other firms have put out a similar article this month on this thing. So, I think using AI too much can feed into that impulse. Okay, we're safe. 20 other firms have done something like this. So we're not going to be wrong. We're not going to be out there on the edge. And meanwhile, I think it's that sort of thing where sometimes out on the edge is where people are like the winners. Like they're doing something like different enough that people are taking notice and they're doing something well. Sometimes you're out on the edge, you're doing something bad. But you know, is that going to rob us of some courage or some creativity or something? So yeah, I think we got to adjust things. We got to have some balance and still have a little bit of that courage that we can do something differently from other folks and just try to get our message across and be those individuals that they want to work with.
Yeah. And I think some of that even just starts not necessarily with being edgy necessarily, but just being interesting, right? Like having a point of view, taking a different stance on an issue, or just saying, here's our thinking on it. And I think the danger with AI is if we're lazy with it, we outsource the thinking to a standard best practice, right? Or just standard practice, maybe not even best practice, just what does everyone else say that you should do? And when we do that, we just become another voice saying the exact same thing everyone else is saying, in probably the same way. And that's not interesting. That doesn't get people's interest. It doesn't differentiate you, as you've already mentioned. Like, and then I think you can apply beyond that. You can apply the personality. You can apply that creativity, and like say, okay, how do we bring this to market in a way that's beyond just, you know, okay, here's the 5 things that every other firm does when they go to market with this message.
More ironically, it turns marketing into compliance.
Surprise, surprise.
Check. I mean, that's one of those things. And you know, I again, these are tools that I use. I enjoy using them. It's just that you said critical thinking, and that's the danger that is posed with not making sure that critical thinking is still happening, still being applied, and you're still injecting whatever work product that you're putting out there as, you know, your marketing and your branding specialists with human insight that is making sure that this is us, this is real, this is how we want to speak as our unique selves.
Yeah. You had mentioned in a previous conversation we had about how people in your firm are starting to ask the question, you know, did you run that through Claude? And I don't think they mean it as a they don't want it run through AI. It's the opposite, right?
Yeah, that was a wake up call. It wasn't even a wake up call. It was just like, whoa, wait a minute. Hold on a second, because I'm like, wait, what do you mean by that? And it was, you know, the writer in me, because I've been a writer my entire life, but as long as I could write, I've been a writer. And just in terms of the trade, like someone saying that to me, I was like, well, I've been good enough this whole time. I've made my living like being right, like being correct and writing compelling things and having thoughts, and you've been good. Wait a minute, Claude's my fact checker? Like, what's going on here? And you know, some of that, I think it's just like a transference, I think, of technology and some of the buzz around AI, and even that word intelligence, it kind of like lends this credibility that because it's coming from AI, it is correct. It is going to know when we're wrong. It is you know, better than human. And maybe that's forgetting the first word's artificial, but you know, and it's not against that. But at first I was like, I'm a little bit hurt that you wanted me to be checked. And then I realized, no, I got to reframe this. Like, they're enthusiastic. They're starting to use it. And, you know, they weren't trying to replace me with it, or, you know, they just, you know, is this part of your process now? Like, I'm using it, I'm enjoying it. And maybe it's the optimist in me talking, just reframing it. But, you know, I was like, okay, I see what's happening here. Like, there's like this transfer. And so just like with anything else, as a professional marketer, it's on me to sort of, you know, translate that into what my next action is, and to have that communication, that back and forth with them. You know what? I hadn't what's missing from it? Like, what are you looking for specifically? And we had a dialogue. Well, I thought you'd do that as your final step. I'm like, that actually wasn't my workflow. Is something wrong with it? Let's go. And it wasn't one of those gotcha moments or anything like that. It just turned out like they explained to me sort of that they had been using it that way for their stuff, which was fine. Like, okay. And they're not a writer. So they felt like that was a good backup for them. So, okay. Yeah. And that actually really helped me understand how people were coming to the table with it. And that's kind of as a leader of people, it was really good for me to experience that and just to share that with my team. Like, don't get automatically offended when this happens to you. Like, have a conversation back and forth and, figure out like what they're looking for, what they're excited about. If they think something's wrong with it. If you did use AI, we've had people who are upset if we've used AI on something, and then we have people who are upset if we haven't. You never know what you're going to get. It's people. So that back and forth and being like really transparent about how we've been doing work has, helped us out a lot, I think, in working with our practitioners.
Yeah. It's funny. I think about my own usage of AI, and I remember there was a time where I was like, ooh, this might be really helpful in when I'm writing emails, to clarify or to help my grammar and fix things up. And I ran Grammarly for a little while with their like kind of AI version of it. And I think after about 2 months, I was like, if I take every suggestion it makes, I don't sound like me anymore. Because it would phrase things in ways that were like grammatically correct, but weren't how I would say it. And I think if you I just extrapolate that out and I'm like, what if you do that with your entire brand? You do that with all your marketing and like AI is the final arbiter of what goes out. Perhaps there's something lost in that process. Yeah, maybe it'll be more grammatically correct or more, marketing correct. But again, like if that's what every firm is doing, how does that differentiate? How does that bring to the fore like the interesting personalities that we have, both individually and as firms? So I think it's like this balancing act for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I've had that same experience in trying to put together a presentation. I'm running this balanced AI adoption thing. Like I'm trying to understand all sides of the equation and how do we use it better. And I'm like, okay, I've got to make this presentation, in my voice about an initiative I'm trying to do. So I'm feeding in all this information. And some of it has to be about like me and how I want to lead this thing. And, I went through 7 different versions of it and it never sounded like me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not spending enough time with my good friend Claude, or
he's becoming a very good friend of mine as well.
Yeah, everybody has a different, relationship with Claude or Copilot or ChatGPT. But I was like, okay, you know what? I'm starting from ground zero, and a lot of times what happens is I don't go for the whole enchilada on my first go. Like, give me an outline. And then it's like a back and forth or something like that. And I think that's an important thing to note too. The use of AI isn't all or nothing. You have to figure out like what works with your work progress and your work process rather, and communicate that. Like, I want to communicate that up to leadership and to the practitioners so they understand, we're not just pumping out stuff from this program and handing it off to you. There's back and forth. There's pieces that it's doing, we're doing. There's it can't be one or the other if it's going to be something that's not just authentic, but it's going to work for us. And, I never want it to be minimized to, you just beep and boop and you get a campaign and it's perfect. That's not the way it works ever.
Yeah. Well, I think that goes back to like something you said right at the beginning, which is just being thoughtful in the process, right? Infusing thought. And I think that requires a human element. If we just wholesale automate the entire process through AI, I'm not sure that we're being thoughtful, because there's no intrinsic human thinking being added to the equation outside of whatever the aggregate answer is from the LLM. But I want to ask you, like, you've used this term balanced AI a couple times. It sounds like that's something you all are kind of honing in on. Explain that a little bit more. I think that's really interesting. I think others would be interested in that as well, for sure.
I mean, maybe it's the writer in me being aspirational, but how do we bring together people who have very different inclinations towards this type of development in our group, and also I think set an expectation within the firm that we do want to be leading adopters of this, but we want to do it in a way that makes sense, is responsible, and upholds, not just our brand promise, but also the promises we've all made to each other within the walls of the firm that, we're going to act with integrity. We're going to make sure that everything that we do stands up to, our core values. And, it'll be a testament to us moving forward and growing together that we're utilizing this and utilizing it in the right ways. And so we decided to call it that, partially to make sure we were bringing the super advanced side and the I don't want that side together to meet in the middle. But to us, it was also a very important viewpoint to take, because you can go all in and go nuts trying to just like make projects happen regardless of the outcomes and just to be AI, or you can be a little bit more thoughtful and bring folks along and make some impacts with it. And we want to be closer to that second option where we're moving forward and we're bringing people with us. And we eventually want those people to become builders and, not just proponents, but people who are using it in a way that is valuable and, quite frankly, makes the firm proud of us. We want people to be proud of our department just as we're proud of ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think if there's an over-reliance on AI, perhaps that devalues the work to some degree of like, hey, are we really adding value to what we're doing? Or is it just, hey, the machine can handle it and I'm just here pushing the buttons? I think there's a intrinsic danger in that, obviously, of just over-relying on a machine that maybe isn't quite there yet. I've heard Sam Altman says like AI is the best intern you'll ever have. I've put that, I think I was using something similar even before I read that from him. I was just like, these AI tools are great, but they're only about as trustworthy as like a really good intern. Would I outsource my entire business to an intern? Not without a lot of hand-holding and double checking.
Yep.
And so I think there's some of that aspect too of just, making sure that as we're just being thoughtful in that. And I love that term. I love that balanced AI term of we're balancing between the human element and what the thoughtfulness of our professionals can bring to the table with the efficiencies and the help that I think AI tools can bring. I think they're really helpful when we use them rightly.
Yeah. And that's a mirror. We've always been a mirror of what the firm's doing. I mean, we're a client service organization. The marketing department itself, the growth function itself is a client service organization within a client service organization. So, just as we want to be thoughtful and have a human element to providing people with amazing tech-enabled solutions, they're doing the same thing with the external world. So, that makes all the sense. And we try to model the behavior that we want just as they do. So, all those things are aligning so far.
That's good. Yeah. It's very good. You made a comment when we were chatting last about Coke. And if you drink a Coke that's flat, not fizzy, you're probably still going to buy another Coke sometime in your life. But within professional services, there's this level of trust and reputation that's kind of a non-negotiable, that if you lose that fizziness, then you lose the business, you lose the client. Why don't you kind of unpack that a little bit for people and talk about how AI maybe there's some challenges there.
I think that the services that we provide, first off, Coke, that's a very important service to me.
I'm on Team Coke.
When it is flat, I'm not happy. But that's a thing that it's a low level for me to get another Coke, and I have a long experience trained with that brand. Like, I know what they've given me in the past, and I know eventually they'll get back on track. And what's $2 to get back in there and try it again. Mm-hmm. When it comes to those professional services, it's so much more personal. And the thing that you're dealing with isn't, I didn't have the best, accompaniment to my lunch. You maybe messed up like my end of year experience, or, I found out that you didn't give me a heads up about something that was coming up that could have been beneficial to my company. Or maybe there was an issue with the team that I didn't feel like you were responsive enough or something like that. And, you sold me on, you were proactive. You were going to do this. You were going to do that. It takes so much for us to present what our client experience vision is to these clients as they come in. And that's a lot of money, time, blood, sweat, and tears for us. And if that gets squandered, that's disappointing. And once you lose someone's good opinion in that way, it's very hard to get it back. It takes a lot of work. So that's what it's like. When it comes to AI and you make that sort of connection, if you're going to pump out some thought leadership that maybe isn't personalized enough as maybe it was in the past, or you're just gonna, hey, look at this article. It's about like tax stuff, and you didn't read it.
Yeah.
Or it's just general, and you have a real estate client, and I'm an industry marketer. Like, that's my bag. And if it's real estate, and you send a real estate person something that's not about real estate,
yep.
Are you kidding me? What? You're wasting my time. If you've wasted my eyeballs like millisecond that I looked at the title and it was not about real estate, like, they don't like it. And if you're in that business, you should know that. And that's, borderline offensive that you don't know that about me. So those are the types of like mini experiences that can really add up if you've decided, I don't have the time for personalization. I'm just going to do this blanket approach. That's also, by the way, the type of thing that if you're smart about the way that you use AI and you help make a great data stack and really super personalize and make sure that you've got awesome signals coming to yourself about client activity, that you can like knock it out of the park every single time. So you've got the danger for your brand, and then you've got this amazing opportunity for your brand that they can be like, wow, why do you know all this stuff? This is crazy. I love it. It's freaking out.
Yeah.
So that's why you just have to be so smart and thoughtful about the way that you're applying this stuff, and just dashing into AI without a plan. That's not the place to be, I don't think.
Yeah. And I may even think about experiences I've had with professionals that I work with, like my insurance agent or my wealth manager or my mortgage broker, and getting emails that I'm like, that was clearly written with AI, like, down to there's an emoji every line kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And it's funny, like, and maybe I'm overly sensitive to this, and maybe some of their other clients don't pick up on these things as much. But I think we're heading in a direction where everyone uses AI to some degree or another. Like, even like, I know people's grandmas using AI. So like, we're all starting to get accustomed, like, what does an AI response look like? What does it feel like? And if you just copy paste that and you're sending that to your clients, I think that begs the question from the client, can't I just go get that answer from my AI tool? Why do I need you? Why am I paying you for an answer that is already public knowledge, essentially? Now, maybe you could argue like, well, you didn't know to write the prompt. But I'd still say like, then why are you charging the dollars you're charging? I don't think a lawyer is going to get away with $400 or $500 an hour spitting back, AI copy pasted prompts. So I think that's like where there's this huge gap between, and again, this goes back to what you've already been talking about. If you're not thoughtful, if you're not adding a human element to the response, if you're not saying, hey, I'm going to take my lens and apply it beyond what the AI lens has, then what value are you really adding for anyone?
Right.
Does the world need another copy pasted blog post from an AI tool? Probably not. Probably not. I don't know, but I'm very biased in all this. So,
I mean, we're in a bit of an information overload. I do feel too like there's a lot of even beyond marketing. We've got people flooding the zone with information. We're not sure if it's real or not, or is that video? Grandma has AI and she's sending out wild stuff to the group chat that, and some stuff that's clearly AI. And that's kind of making us numb to like what is reality. that's not good either. So, I think even before AI was this big question, this is the same old question that we had before. How much more effective is it if you forward an invitation to your client and say, Mary, this is exactly what I was talking about the other day. I really think you should come to this and meet, our person who's in charge of this topic in the tax department, blah, 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 blah. That sort of thing. Like, I heard you, I see where things are going. This thing is specifically important to you because, and that's where you make a little bit. These are the little things that add up and make people love you. Or if they're absent, make people go like, what's the difference?
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, so, that personalization is so huge. And that relationship, right? And you're doing that based on a relationship you've already built with that client to say, hey, I know you enough to say why you should consider this, not just because you're my client, you should do it.
And all of those things we're talking about where AI is giving you the heads up or personalize something, all of those are bridges to in-person things that have to happen. Meetings, like invitations, like phone calls, whatever it is, you're still going to have that human interaction with that person. So again, that AI is that's a bridge to something human that has to happen.
Yep, absolutely. I think we can't lose that. This is about the human to human relationship. Use the AI to advance that, but don't replace it. I think that's the thing. I am just so kind of big on right now is just making sure we're not losing that human to human connection in the process of using AI. That again, it's about developing those relationships. And I think to your point earlier, we're in professional services. We're not in the business of selling products. And professional services at some level, and you can have products in this business, but at some level, like it is about the relationship. We gain and keep clients because they love working with the individuals in our firms. And we're always striving to like say, hey, there's more than just me in the firm, right? Like you can work with others in the firm. There's other services we have. Like I know that's part of the, the grander strategy that we all have to be chasing in our firms. But at the end of the day, that still like hinges on those individual relationships. And I think if you lose that, I think that I've been noticing this. There's, it's funny. We have another video that's coming out right before this one. It's going to be about an article we found comparing EY and PwC's AI strategies, and they're different. And PwC in particular is interesting in that they're really doubling down on AI as the tool and even as the product for their clients. And so they've laid off about 5,600 people over the last year. Most of those as professionals, but then they've hired data engineers and AI engineers. and they're really looking to say, hey, we want to kind of just basically provide product to people. So take all the data and expertise that we have and summarize that and provide that through AI generated tools. And I think that's a valid strategy. That's fine. But I look at it and I go, I don't think that's a professional services firm anymore. I think that's a tech company. And I think that begs a question of like, what are clients really wanting to buy? Do they want to buy another platform? Or are they wanting to buy the expertise that comes from the professionals themselves? And that'll be the question.
It's a big question. And I think for marketers, that's going to be, because again, in a challenge opportunity, like how do you talk about the platform and the services to support the platform, or the platform versus the services? Another one of those things. I mean, thank God we're change managers by nature, or we have to be as marketing people, but that'll be the next thing to tackle.
Yeah. And I do think that this is my personal take on this, kind of as a brand strategist, someone who works a lot in brand, but also done it both on the product side and then on the service side. Because I've seen SaaS companies, we've had clients in the SaaS space who have struggled because, in one sense, they've struggled because they're really a product, right? Like their brand is built all around this software product. But some of them have very complex products that require a level of service added on. And they've struggled to get clients or customers to really like understand the difference between I'm buying the product versus I'm buying these add-on services that are provided by human beings. And those are two different businesses. Those are two different like ways of operating. One is all around product and scale, and the other is all around customer service. Which if the heart of your brand and the heart of your business is built around product, it's often really hard to provide that level of professional service that might be required in complex client engagements. And I would argue those are actually two different brands. That there might actually be benefit in saying, hey, we have a product brand or sub-brand, and we have a professional services brand. And that's from the SaaS side of things. That's from the software side. And I think professional services firms are going to have the inverse challenge. We're going to have tools and products in the future here, if we don't already. And I think we're going to have to be really clear with clients that like there's two different ways to engage with us. They're not the same. And if you confuse them too much, or you try to merge them too much into one experience, I think you're actually going to find that it's really difficult to get clients to wrap their heads around that. I think most people think in terms of product and then service, either on top of or alongside, but not in the same kind of all in one situation. And I also think those are two different ways to run those sides of your business. And if you have people crossing over too much, it doesn't work.
They do have to like run in parallel. And I've had this conversation. My husband works in the SaaS realm, and talking to him when he was going through some challenges with some of his customers in a former company. And it was that sort of situation where people would buy the product, they couldn't use it properly, and then they wouldn't renew.
Yep.
And me coming from professional services marketing, I was like, well, who's working with them post? And he's like, well, we're working with them, but the training, he would talk about the training. So there was some training, and then it was like, what communication is going on with them on a regular basis so that they know, and I'm here for, just like, what about this? What about this? Because I come from that services background of like marketing your service and making sure they know that you care about them and you're here. And it, because they're a product company that wasn't quite, so it's going to be two parallel tracks, I think. And then sometimes they have to meet in the middle, and you sell the big bundle.
Yeah. Occasionally you get that ideal customer who's going to like get it all, right?
Right.
But even the way that your teams internally think about those things, like I've worked with engineers who are being tasked with on one side, building the product to be scalable, and then on the other side, to make customizations for their biggest customers. And those are two very different ways to think about product, because one is product centric and one is service centric. And it almost like does the customer a disservice to say we're going to have the same people working on it on both sides of that coin. I think those really are almost like two businesses, and you can wrap them up under one name or, you know, one entity, but they almost need to be run in parallel.
Yeah, so. I can see that.
All right, we're coming down the home stretch here, Kristen. You know, I think for marketers that are listening in today, they're getting squeezed from all sides, right? There's this like leadership is asking for more AI, more efficiency, more volume. And then on the other side, they're trying to protect the brand. They're trying to maintain that level of difference, that differentiation, that creativity, that interestingness. What is the one piece of advice that you would want to give a marketer in an accounting firm, an advisory firm in the next 12 months if they're getting pinched from both sides?
I honestly think you really need to make sure that you're pursuing, you know, fluency with what's going on with different AI solutions, how people are utilizing it, what makes sense for your team, but then also like governance, like where are we drawing those lines, you know, what makes sense for us. I know there are firms that are just AI is doing our content now. That if that works for your brand, that works for your brand. If that does not, then you really need to, you know, the cow, what is it? The cow may have left the barn already for you or something, but you know, you got to figure this stuff out fast. It may be too late, but you know, understanding where the world is going in terms of AI, even if it's uncomfortable for you personally, and if you do have a team, making sure that they are, if not AI warriors and gung ho, they need to understand it because everyone is talking about this and using it now, and you're going to have some really hard questions to answer if you don't understand the marketplace and how AI is enabling firms to do X, Y, and Z. That governance piece, though, that's huge. You gotta figure that out, and you gotta talk to leadership to back you up. If they don't back you up, you're dead in the water.
That's always the age-old challenge in accounting marketing. Getting leadership to back you up. Almost anything, almost any initiative doesn't work unless leadership is behind it.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, I would also just say too, I think along those same lines with governance, the more detail about your brand and your personality of your brand that you can feed into your AI tools, the better the outputs are going to be. The more interesting they're going to be, the more on brand they're going to be. I think, you know, just moving way beyond like, okay, we have a style guide. We know what we look like. We have these colors and fonts. We know like, oh, we use AP style. But actually having like a sense of the personality of the firm. What are these cultural distinctions that you have? Slogans that you use, even if they're internal, primarily internal. I think we use a lot like brand metaphors and brand archetypes. These are we found they're just fantastic tools for AI because AI is looking for like every single signal to say, okay, how can I make this more like what you want, right?
Right.
And if we don't give it enough, it just goes through its like index of common knowledge. And as I would say,
websites and decide to make a slogan for you that looks like your competitor.
Yeah.
This looks good.
Yeah.
This looks good.
This is what everybody else is doing. Why don't you do it too? You're
100% correct. Like get your arms around that. And if you can feed, if you're doing enterprise AI and you can feed in those skills about this is what we sound like, this is what we look like, to at least sort of contain that, because you're going to find you have a lot of Picassos on your staff. You're going to find you have a lot of the Stephen Kings and a lot of authors that you did not know before who are very creative.
Yes. or worst case, you sound like a lot of Redditors, which is that's my biggest fear.
It is. I mean, we didn't talk about that, but that's one of the more frustrating parts about this. Like, there's a lot of people who are suddenly going to be like, I know exactly what you're doing, and I can do it too. Me too.
Yep.
And that's that's tough to deal with. So take a deep breath and just hold the line.
Yeah. Don't give up. Don't give up on the brand. That's I think a great lesson for everybody. All right. 2 more questions. Crystal ball, 2 or 3 years out, what separates firms whose brands got stronger in this kind of AI race versus those that, as we might say, dissolved into the sea of sameness, to run with that metaphor, which I love?
I mean, I really do think that the brands and the firms who are able to hold on to their brands and lean into that human differentiation and how we can create a genuine experience with you, they're going to really fly. And I think that type of authenticity, people have in the past responded to it. I think that's going to be more important than ever before. And I know, as a firm, we've been building up our CX function for a long time. We've been really this past year, really throwing resources at it. It's important anyway, but this right here, this is how we're different. This is how we take care of you. And I think any firm that's really going to survive all this, not just survive, but thrive, they're going to be doing something like that.
I 100% agree. I think that's a great takeaway for people. Kristen, how can people find out more about you, get in touch with you, find out more about EisnerAmper? Where should they head?
Well, check me out on LinkedIn. Kristen Lewis on LinkedIn, and EisnerAmper.com is the website. So happy to connect.
Awesome. That's awesome. We'll make sure those are in the show notes below. Everyone can check that out. Be checking out all of the great content coming down the pike as well. We're very excited. We kind of took a little hiatus with our YouTube channel here, and we are back. Otherwise, we will find out. We're back, baby. That's what I've been saying. So for better or worse, I don't know. Some people are probably like, shut up, Mike. So I'm excited. Thank you, Kristen, so much for coming on. Thanks for just kind of taking your brain and allowing us to kind of hear all what you've been thinking about and working on, and all of these fun opportunities and challenges that come with AI in our firms. And I'm just thrilled that you would want to spend time sharing this. And I hope lots of people listening go, wow, I got something really interesting from this. Maybe a little insight. People definitely drop some comments. Let us know what resonated, what challenged you, what are you seeing in your firms as well. So thanks you so much,
for having me. This was fun. Thank you.